When everyone witnessed Ziyan summon the Dragon Slayer sword, their reactions were unanimous fear. Any ancient void dragon standing beneath that sword would become incomparably fragile. Don't forget to subscribe. Your support brings us one step closer to hitting Do Di realm. Continuing from before, the massive fiery disc had just taken form when the first light beam had already shot forward like lightning, crashing into it with an explosive boom. At the moment of impact, the flame disc released a strange force, and in a miraculous turn, the colossal beam was reflected backward. Although the counterattack succeeded, the recoil still caused Xiaoyan to spit out a mouthful of blood. Immediately after, the remaining two beams followed, each likewise being reflected. However, when the final beam was bounced back, the flame disc completely shattered. Xiaoyan spat out more blood as his body was flung back several thousand meters. Under the horrified gazes of the three Dragon Kings, the three reflected beams slammed into their bodies, worsening their already grievous injuries. Kill him. If you want to kill me, then be prepared to break a few more bones. Stabilizing himself, Xiaoyan raised his pale face, madness flickering within his eyes. The three Dragon Kings had pushed him into a desperate corner. Xiaoyan spat out the blood in his mouth as his hands shifted into another sequence of hand seals. The giant phantom once again enveloped him. Another terrifying soul shock burst forth, slamming ruthlessly toward the Dragon Kings. Their massive blood-red dragon pupils instantly dimmed. Suffering 2 consecutive soul attacks had inflicted devastating damage upon them. The Northern Dragon King was the first to withstand the assault. His figure flickered, transforming back into human form as he appeared before Xiaoyan in an instant, slamming a heavy palm strike into Xiaoyan's chest. A large mouthful of blood spewed from Xiaoyan's lips. He stared at the Northern Dragon King with a ferocious expression. Laughing wildly, with a flip of his hand, a 4-colored flame lotus appeared and was hurled directly at him. The flame lotus detonated. The Northern Dragon King was blasted thousands of meters away, using the last of his strength to throw the lotus. Xiaoyan's body, already weakened by the earlier strike, was covered in injuries. As he struggled to breathe, 2 streaks of killing intent shot toward him. The Southern Dragon King and Western Dragon King. Having been beaten so miserably by a single young human, they had nearly lost their reason. Go die for this king. With a savage expression, the Southern Dragon King's arm transformed into a massive dragon claw, smashing downward toward Xiaoyan's head. Faced with the rapidly enlarging claw, Xiaoyan's body trembled violently under the threat of death. Yet within that trembling, his heart suddenly pounded. An obscure bloodline hidden deep within his heart silently flowed out, merging rapidly into his veins. As the bloodline fused, the power that had been exhausted surged back in an instant, stronger than even his peak state. What is this? The sudden change stunned Xiaoyan, but he quickly recovered. Just as he prepared to dodge, a brilliant golden light flashed before his eyes. And in that instant, the Southern Dragon King's arm was severed. Xiaoyan spun around and saw high in the air a beautiful purple-haired figure stepping forth. In her hand was a golden longsword that seemed like flowing liquid metal. A destructive aura silently spread outward as a cold, imperious voice echoed, "If you dare lay a hand on him, this Empress shall condemn you to the eternal dragon prison." The Southern Dragon King stared blankly at the stump where his arm used to be. After transforming his arm into a dragon claw, his defense had reached terrifying heights so great that even a 5-star Daosheng attacking head-on would struggle to sever it. And yet, it had been cut off so easily. Dragon Slayer sword. The Southern Dragon King's dazed expression lasted only a brief moment before the searing pain from his severed arm snapped him back to reality. His head jerked upward, eyes locking onto the golden, liquid-like sword in Ziyan's hand. His pupils contracted violently as he screamed in terror, his voice filled with utter disbelief. The Western Dragon King also trembled inwardly, his blood-red eyes now overflowing with horror. The Dragon Slayer sword was not merely a weapon. It was the strongest supreme Do technique of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. Only a dragon with the purest imperial bloodline could summon it. What they had never expected was that Ziyan could actually awaken the Dragon Slayer sword. One had to know even the former Dragon Emperor could only barely summon it after reaching the 6-star Dusheng realm. Ziyan, however, was currently only at the early 4-star Daosheng level. As its name implied, the Dragon Slayer sword existed for one purpose: to slay dragons. It was the exclusive technique of the Dragon Emperor. Unless one possessed strength far surpassing the wielder, any ancient void dragon standing before this sword would become unbearably weak. At this moment, everyone on Eastern Dragon Island halted in place. They raised their heads, gazing at the purple-haired figure floating in the sky. their eyes filled with profound reverence. Her Majesty the Dragon Emperor has summoned the Dragon Slayer sword once more. The elders of Eastern Dragon Island trembled violently, tears streaming down their faces. Only one who could summon the Dragon Slayer sword could be recognized as the true Dragon Emperor. The Dragon Slayer sword has manifested. Do you still not understand who the true Dragon Emperor is? The first elder of Eastern Dragon Island hovered in the air, raising his dragon staff as he roared. At his command, the faces of the warriors from all three islands shifted drastically. Even Xuanmo and the other high-ranking members dared not utter a sound. A heavy silence fell over Eastern Dragon Island. Soon after, overwhelmed by the immense pressure from Xianxia's imperial bloodline, the warriors of the three islands began to kneel one after another, bowing toward the figure in the sky. As the first few submitted, more and more ancient void dragons, after a moment of inner struggle, also chose to bow in allegiance. Seeing this, the upper echelon of the three islands, Xuanmo, and his group grew pale. They finally understood after today, Eastern Dragon Island would rise far above the other three. Run. Realizing how drastically the situation had shifted, the Western Dragon King forced down his terror and roared, his figure retreating at full speed. The Southern Dragon King, ignoring his severed arm, also fled in panic. Traitors, Dragon Slayer sword execute. Xian's cold gaze fixed upon the two fleeing dragons. Her voice echoed with chilling finality. She slowly raised the Dragon Slayer sword and slashed into the air toward the Western Dragon King. The moment the blade descended, the Western Dragon King sensed it. His eyes filled with unprecedented fear. A low growl escaped his throat as his head, torso, limbs, and more than half his body were instantly covered in layer after layer of dragon scales. Those scales glimmered with a bizarre radiance, appearing unbreakable. Yet this seemingly invincible defense collapsed in an instant. The strange energy of the Dragon Slayer sword tore through space itself, passing through his body with deceptive gentleness. As the energy swept across him, the Western Dragon King's face turned deathly white. Horrified, he lowered his head and saw a massive, vicious wound stretching diagonally from his shoulder down to his waist. His once indestructible dragon scales had been sliced apart like tofu. With just a single strike, the Western Dragon King was gravely injured. The power of the Dragon Slayer sword against the ancient void dragons was beyond terrifying. Witnessing this, the Southern Dragon King nearby felt his limbs go cold. At this moment, he had no thought of helping. His only desire was to escape with his life.